and traits and strengths. And then the second one with that is then to start to look at our emotional body. And so if we're on a more masculine pole of the emotional body, we tend to not be aware of our emotions. We're not as identified with the emotional experience. Conversely, if we're feminine, we're fully identified with our emotions. Our emotions are life. If we're happy, we're happy. If we're sad, we're sad. If we're hurt, we're hurt. If we're mad, we're mad. There is no separation between how we're feeling and life. So then the masculine is able to separate, like, this is an emotion, but it doesn't change my focus, my drive, what I'm heading towards. It's just information. It doesn't sway. The next part of that then is then to be able to look at, reflect in your own mental body. Masculine in that tends to be more structured. We look at things as step one, then has parts A, B, C, D, E. Step two, A, B, C, D, E. Step three, it's very regimented. It's very one right after the other. It's moving forward constantly. Where then the feminine is more like, if you think about a woman gathering in the field, she's aware of all of these different parts happening around her. You're aware of and connecting everything. This medicine's over here. This is where there's water. This is where there's trees. This is where there's usually a threat. This is where I find this. This is where I find that. This is who I know over here. We're gathering all of these bits of information to be able to form a picture. And so it has nothing to do with form and structure. It's all of just more of an intuitive, impulsive flow. And then the last one of that is our spiritual body, which is really more of then separated into, specifically then maybe more sexually, is, do I have a desire to penetrate, to move into another, or do I desire to be penetrated? Do I want to fill or be filled? And so all of this is just a way for you to start to self-reflect, to start to look at yourself and be like, in these worlds, in those ways, which side of that spectrum do I tend to fall more towards on? Not as a right or wrong, a good or a bad. They're all perfect and brilliant and whole, and all have their strengths and weaknesses. And the more we can be comfortable and aware of that, and like I said, embodying all of that, the more freedom and love and aliveness you get to experience as a human being, which to me, is beautiful and the point. So then, this being a psychedelic meetup, it's, how does this tie into psychedelics? And to me, there's no difference between the two. Being a good practitioner of this and what the field is called yogic sexuality, of being able to be a fully expressed human, that skill set of being able to breathe, of being able to ground, of being able to expand, of being able to direct my energy, to surrender when I need to take charge and command when I need to. All of that occurs in the psychedelic experience. It's just amplified. And the more able you are to do that on your mat, in person, in relationship, in your job, in your meditation, in your yoga, the psychedelic space is the way to practice that. And so when you combine those worlds, to me, it's the place to where normal reality and the heightened reality of psychedelics get to play together. You bring that skill set into both. And the deeper, more well-versed you know yourself in those practices in each world, the deeper, more beautiful, more alive, more expansive experience you get in both. And so I'm curious, just off of that, does anybody have any questions, any curiosities, anything they'd like me to go deeper into with that? No? Okay. I didn't hear that. What was that?
No, I was just reaching out to, if anyone has, you can just raise your hand and we can echo the question back here. So I guess
thanks. So keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. So then, yeah, I guess I'll use that opportunity to describe the practice a little bit, because that will be in this world as well. So the practice of this, and actually I'll use it to embody and show this a little bit more. So polarity then is also the energy when we play with this relationally. This is the energy that we consider chemistry, or what gives us the desire to fuck each other, in a pretty crude but direct way of saying it. And so So as a male-bodied person, there's certain characteristics and traits that are going to be attractive to a feminine body person or to a more feminine energy person, and vice versa. And I can embody either or. And so one of these is just to change my posture in the moment. So if I start to round my shoulders, if I start to talk really quick and I let my voice get really high and I don't want to make eye contact with you, all of that for a feminine bodied person is going to, if you feel into yourself, it's going to create more, hang on one second here. There we go. It's going to create more tension in your body. I'm going to occur as less trustable. You're going to feel less relaxed. You're going to, your heart's going to close. Your breath is going to shallow. Your whole system is going to be on guard because I'm all of a sudden a threat. It's like, why are you acting that way? What's going on that you're hiding? Conversely, if I slow down, if I really drop into eye contact, if I deepen my voice, if I change the pace of my voice, all of this occurs as much more trustable, attractive, digestible for the feminine nervous system. In terms of male, it's just more trustable. It's like, oh, this dude is here. I can feel him. He's not hiding from me. That occurs as attractive to the feminine. And so then vice versa with the feminine, it's kind of the same thing. If I'm a more feminine energy person, in order to attract the masculine, if I'm closed and rigid and small and these different things, that occurs as less available, we want, the masculine wants to see love light. It wants to see energy, because that is the gift of the feminine, is to amplify and multiply love. You guys allow us to like find appreciation and joy for being alive because you have a richer experience of energy and of love than we do. And it's through your body and through your breath and through your sound that we get to experience God in that way. You get to experience God through our penetration and our presence and our breath, and the way we move into you. So then, yeah, as a feminine, it's being able to flow and to move and to make noise and to let me feel all of your expression, to feel all of your love, all of your joy, all of your pleasure, all of your pain in that moment. And each is challenging and beautiful in its own right. So, yeah, with this, I want you guys, really with this, to have the experience of it more so than listening to me talk, because that's really where the gold is in this. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit what we're going to do for this practice. And then what we're going to do here is, it doesn't matter if you're male-bodied, female-bodied. You can certainly pair up that way if you want. That will make this most potent. Not required though, because like I said, we both have masculine, feminine. I've done this with my brothers and with my friends, and it is every bit as potent and beautiful in a completely different way to do it same sex. It has a whole different thing that it unlocks to be seen by a brother in that way, or by a sister in that way. So with this, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be guiding you through an experience to where we first all ground together. And then through that grounding, this is a more masculine practice. We're going to be finding stillness. We're going to be finding depth. We're going to be finding width. We're going to be finding our breath. We're finding presence in our system. And from that space, then one person will hold that masculine pull, and the other partner will be playing the feminine. And then they will start to embody that more. And I'll be guiding you through this. One will be holding the essence of a mountain, where then the other starts to move as smoke. You start to dance as though the wind is just blowing you, and you're starting to let this person see you this way. Once again, it doesn't have to be sexual. Oftentimes, sexual energy will arise with this, because sexual creative energy, there's no difference in that. But this isn't some invitation for that to be this hitting on you experience. The way we're going to be looking at this, the frame I'm inviting you into, is to try to see the divine masculine and the divine feminine in each person. What you're revealing this part of yourself to is this bigger, higher nature of this person, not necessarily the man or woman in front of you. So it's taking it off that it's not a personal experience about you specifically. It's a way to experience these energies in an embodied context, and to get to bump up against all of your uncomfortableness and all of your fear and all of your pleasure and joy. The whole experience of really is what is the gift of being human, is to be able to have all those things. And this practice really lets you kind of push up against that. And so once we're going into those partners, then we're dropping into this practice that's called presence and devotion, because that is the gift of each. The masculine brings presence, the feminine is then in devotion to that consciousness. And there'll be certain things then that I have you say inside your own head that will just amplify that energy in each of you, will amplify that polarity. And then we'll kind of bring that back down, bring everyone back into a grounded place, and then we're going to switch roles. And then that other person's going to hold the masculine, and the person who first played the masculine is then going to open up and get to explore their feminine expression. And then after that, we'll come back down, bow to each other in reverence, show appreciation for each other in that practice. And then we'll break out into groups and have a conversation about what that was like, what came up for you, what was fun about it, what was scary about it, what was easy, what was hard, what you loved, what you hated, all the things. And then when we come back together, I would love to have, some questions about that, because those questions, like everyone in the group will have them. Questions always open up the space deeper. They'll make this more alive for everyone. If we can get some Q&A of like, hey, I tried this and it didn't work, or I went here and I was scared, or can you explain this more? So I really encourage a few of you to be courageous for me and ask a question. It'll really just open up the whole space and make this a lot more fun. So if you could, since we got about 30 minutes to do all of that, if y'all could turn and face each other for me. If y'all could pick partners real quick, we'll spend 2 minutes. Just find, preferably if you can, if it's even, a man and a woman. And if not, just then man to man, and sit, turn and face each other. And sit about a foot apart. And I'll give you all here about 2 minutes to find that. And turn and face each other for me. And like I said, with this, all you guys will be doing is just following the prompts. Should be quite easy. Okay. And if I could get starting to get some thumbs up and some quieting down once we're all feel like we're getting, once we have partners and everything, if we could start to settle down. Okay, and then I'm gonna put on a little music with this. If someone can let me know if you guys can hear this. Can you see that? And then can you hear my voice easily with it? Or do I need to turn it down a little bit? Can you hear my voice over it, or is it too real hard?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Okay. So then, let's have everybody turn and face one another. And we'll go ahead and get started here.
Just give us 1 more minute to get settled here.
Oh, hi, Anna.
Right.
Hi, Zach. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So nice to see you. So nice to see everyone.
Keep in mind, we're all here. Hi, Anna. We can all see you. Is everybody ready? Okay, have a go.
Okay, perfect. So I'd like everybody to close your eyes to start, and I'm just going to lead us through a grounding meditation, and we're all going to participate in that. And then we'll go into the practice here. So to start, just close your eyes and start bringing awareness to your breath, just breathing in and out of your nose. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to bring awareness to your feet, and you're just going to gently, like a 2%, just gently start to let some energy move down through your feet into the floor. Start to just gently press your feet, just the tiniest little bit, just so you feel a little bit more connection. And then we're going to do the same thing. You're going to bring awareness to your sits bones and your sacrum, so your seat. And you start to just gently press that down into your chair, grounding your energy, imagining some roots coming down through your sacrum, and then this big taproot that drops down, grounding you down into the earth, starting to breathe there. And we're going to bring our awareness and our breath to the very back of our throat. So if you'd imagine breathing right to the back of your neck, the back of your throat, you're going to start creating depth with your breath. And then you're going to breathe with that depth. You're now going to breathe the full width of your neck, starting to let your breath be deep and wide. And now we're going to take this deep, wide breath, and we're going to start to breathe it down to the bottom of our throat. And then down to the top of your heart, starting to activate and soften the top of your heart. Now we're going to do the same thing for the back of your heart, breathing into the back of your heart. Now we'll breathe right into the center of your heart. So starting first, breathing into the physical heart. And then we'll move deeper into the energetic heart. And then breathing a little deeper into the spiritual heart. So moving back towards your spine with that breath. Now we're going to breathe your heart as deep to your spine and as wide as your rib cage, letting your heart fill the entire space. And now you're going to imagine pressing that wide open heart down through your belly, all the way down into your pelvic floor. Letting your heart, this wide open heart, ground. And so now in this space, everyone, we're going to tuck our chin just a little bit. You're going to bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth, which will activate your frontal cortex, the upper lobe of your brain. And then everyone, I want you to just lean back just the tiniest bit, and then let your shoulders drop. Now keeping this deep breath. We're going to find stillness. And for the feminine bodied people in this is going to be uncomfortable. This isn't natural for you. Just stay here for just a moment longer. Okay. Now I want you to each open your eyes and start to make eye contact with each other. And you're going to look into each other's left eye. So if you could move for just a second and point to your left eye for each other, so just so you know where to look. Each person's going to look in that. And so the masculine partners, you're going to start to really drop down. You're going to imagine your energy on each exhale. You're going to let your energy drop towards the floor and behind you. So you're going to ground into the universe and into the floor. Feminine partners, I want you to start to let yourself start to act like a piece of bamboo. And that there's this subtle breeze, and you're just going to start to allow the center of your body to move back and forth in whatever way feels good to you. There's nothing here that you have to perform. There's no way that this has to look. Just starting to let yourself gently rock truly in a way that honors what feels good to you. And allow a breath, maybe a little bit of a sigh on that breath to start to come out. And you're just starting to move in whatever way feels, like I said, good to you. You can let your fingers move. You can smile. And just know, like I said, it may feel confronting, you may feel scared, it may feel silly. Just breathe with it. Let that be part of it. That is part of the gift. Let yourself show that to the other person. So amplify whatever's there. If it's silliness, let yourself get a little sillier. If it's love, let yourself be more filled with love. If you're scared, show that you're scared. It is all beautiful. And so we're just going to start flowing. The masculine partner is looking at this divine feminine in front of you. You're going to start saying in your own brain, I see you. I feel you. I love you. I'm here for you. You're mine. And just start to repeat those in your head, and letting her feel this divine feminine. If this was a goddess sitting in front of you, this is what your one opportunity in life to fully show up for a goddess. Let her feel through your eyes and feel through your breath how you feel about her. And so you're staying still, but you're saying that I want you, I see you, I feel you, you're beautiful. And the feminine partner is staying connected to that flow, to that movement. We're going to say things like, I'm yours. Take me. I surrender. I give myself to you. You're divine. Like I said, this goes as deep. Allow it to go and just letting yourself flow. Move with that. Like I said, the more you can amplify as the feminine partner, let yourself just move 10% more than you think is okay. Let yourself rock just a little bit more than it's comfortable. Just putting that edge just a little bit. Letting whatever wants to be there come through. Beautiful. And so now, feminine partners, we're going to start to slow that down. Start to come back out of that flow. Start to come back into your breath. Let yourself come back to that deep, solid breath, coming back down into your seat, back down into your feet, back down into the ground. And then we're going to switch partners here. So now, switch roles. And so now, the first feminine partner, you're going to start to ground and start to notice the breath of your other partner. And start to say those same things. Start to look at them and say, you're mine. I see you. You're beautiful. I love you. And now the first masculine partner, you're going to start to let yourself move in your spine. I said, I know it's going to be uncomfortable, especially as a man. Just go with it a little bit. Start to let yourself move. You can let your head rock back and forth. Let your shoulders move side to side or forward and back. Letting yourself sigh and try to just receive being seen in this way. Try to let your heart receive this masculine presence, whether it's from a woman or from a man. And just start to notice if any emotions come up, if you can allow that, if you can allow them to see your tenderness, if you can allow them to see your vulnerability. It's in the feminine partners, then you're saying, I'm mine, you're mine, I'm yours, take me, I love you. Surrender. Starting to let yourself make a little noise, little exhales. Staying in that breath, just feeling each other. Really getting lost in another person's eyes, letting yourself be fully seen and fully see the other here. I said, seeing the divine feminine and the divine masculine in each. And then now all parties will start to come back into a grounded place. So if you're the feminine partner, start to slow your movement. Everyone start to come back down into your breath and start to breathe together. Start to let yourself take some nice exhales out your mouth. Start to notice whatever's happening in your body, any aliveness, any warmth. Able to start to settle. And then as we come to a close here, I just want you to keep maintaining eye contact. Just look at each other and say a thank you. Whatever you want to do to acknowledge one another, you can bring your hands together and bow to each other. Just acknowledge each other for that practice. Yeah, a hug would be amazing, just to connect in that. All right, and then we'll come back to the space here. And then I'm open here to Christoph. Based off the time here, if you feel like it'd be best to do a short breakout and let everyone hop into groups, or maybe just one-on-one, share it with each other. Let's do it that way. Let's have everybody who paired up. I want you guys to take 3 minutes here. I'll set a timer, 3 minutes a person. And I just want you to share with the other person what your experience was like. I just want you to go through and share what it was like to be the feminine partner and what it was like to be the masculine partner. And just so you each get an understanding of what the other person experienced there. And really then too, to be vulnerable, I'd like each to share one moment that was really impactful for you. One moment, that experience, that something happened that surprised you, that touched your heart, that deepened your experience, just something like that. And then like I said, you'll each get 3 minutes. I'll give you a minute cue when you're about up, and then I'll let you know when to switch partners. So pick which one of you will go first. And we'll go ahead and start that here. And just, yeah, start sharing there. All right, so yeah, let's have everybody come back to the group here. Everybody turn around. We'll finish up here with just, we got about 10 minutes left. We'll do some Q&A.
I'd like to ask you, when I was in my feminine side, I ran into a time of uncomfort, right? Because society has expectations on us. And I feel like when I got to my feminine side, you know, there was a part of me that wanted to move around. And then there was like, you know, like this construct that was kind of more holding me. And my question is, what's your advice to break through that or break out of that?
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent question. So, I mean, that's, I'd say, a really common experience, both for men and women, is over really allowing ourselves to be that big and to be that expressed. And so the easiest way to say that is, A, to just always acknowledge it, to allow it to be there. And then B is to come back to our tools in that space, which are breath, movement, and sound. And so specifically when you're in the feminine, it's all about expressing that. So if you can start to show, you know, when this conditioning comes on, is there pain? Is there sorrow? Is there hurt? Is there sadness? Like, what does that conditioning do to your emotional body? Like, what do you feel due to that lack of freedom? And then you start to share that energetically. So you'd start to make a sound, you'd start to move, you'd start to breathe in a way that would convey, man, when I bump up against this conditioning that says I can't be this way, this is what it feels like. This is the pain in my body that occurs due to this constriction. And so instead of trying to make it go away, you give it life. So it's like, this is what this constriction. So if I were to practice that, it's like, so I'm bumping up against that, I'm moving, it's feeling good, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's this tightness. And so now it's, can I start to like show you the pain of this? Can I breathe and let you see and feel that, God, this like this, I got this gripping in my chest and my stomach, and this hurts. And it's like, and all of us are experiencing that. And so the deeper you go into that and the deeper you can commit to that, it will eventually start to move, and you'll start to find a deeper breath and more freedom. And then, yeah, that's how you just clear that. But it'll be a gift to the person witnessing that, because instead of then hiding or letting that conditioning win, you chose to look at it and then to embody it, to give it life. That's the best way to work with it, is to choose to become it, rather than letting the conditioning continue to dictate how you choose to express yourself. Feel like that answered your question?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. What else do you want to know?
I guess like what you're saying is, I guess what you're saying is to just to feel it, to try to be it, which is hard, right? And it's even more hard when you're with a bunch of strangers and you're trying to feel this energy and to feel a way that we're not, or we don't feel like we should feel, right? So you're saying like we're in this spot and we run into this block, and you want us to feel what that block is, try to understand what that block is, and sort of be that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
To a degree. So like it's less an understanding and more a putting it into physical reality. So it's like, if we were to approach this, you could approach it intellectually and to say like, hey, you could communicate, I have this tension in my body that I'm aware of is because of this conditioning I've received as a man, that I'm not allowed to express this way. And so I'm having a lot of fear, I'm having a lot of tension in my body that isn't allowing me to move this way. That's one way to do it. But that's still going to keep it lodged in your body, because you're talking about it, you're not being it. And so true liberation, true freedom is to be able to take that and to have that same experience, to have that awareness. And I'll say, now let me show you that. Because I can convey all of that through my eyes, through my breath, and through my movement. And that's what's actually going to free it from your body, so that you know what's on the other side of that experience. Your mind can never give you that. No matter how deeply you quote unquote understand it, until you've learned to actually own it as an expression, it's still going to live as a blockage, because that's the way you've embodied it. You've embodied the closure. So until you reveal the closure, until it reveals itself open, all you have to your body will communicate is closure, no matter what your mind and your words say about it.
Okay.
It's taking it deeper. It's saying like the brain can't really do anything with this. It's a body closure. And in order to actually create freedom and love in my body, I have to put it into the language of the body, which is breath, movement, and sound.
So just feel it and just let's go.
Feel it and express it. Yep. And so it's, the more you can just, the feminine is all about chaos. It's all about saying, this is the depth of my pain. Like masterful feminine practice is to be able to reveal your pain, your love, your longing, your desire, your hurt, all in the same moment. It's like, this is the fullness of my experience, of my reality. And I'm showing you all of it. And my voice, my eyes, my movement, all of that conveys that. I'm not hiding any of it. I'm letting my body literally resonate and move as and communicate that this is the full experience I'm having. And that is wildly scary for men and women. That is, it's immensely vulnerable, but it's the only true intimacy, vulnerability, love, and freedom. Because it like, that is something that you cannot speak the other person's language, you cannot know them, but if you fully drop into that and you reveal that, you can communicate with anyone on the planet, animals included. It's a universal expression. And so that's the deepest practice that you can go into with it, is to let your body take that shape and to love it open rather than holding that contraction. But yeah,
Thank you so much.
challenging thing. It's something that like, in my practice, I do a feminine practice once a week, and it's still hard. I still bump up against stuff every time that's like, I don't want to show that. That's too much. That's too painful. That's too deep. That like, F that. I don't want to go there. I don't want you to see that. And the edge is to like stay there and not go past it even, but just to reveal the edge. This is what it's like to be right up against this. It's scary. It hurts. I can't breathe. I'm scared. I want to cry. I need someone to hold me, whatever it is. And to reveal that. Because what polarity does is when the feminine really, in any of us, reveals the truth of your experience, the truth of your heart, it drops consciousness in. And when consciousness shows up, it opens hearts. That's how the two play together. So in this case, you're saying, I'm offering the gift of my vulnerability, of my body, of my heart, in service to more consciousness being present. We tend to think that's like the way our society gets it mixed up, is we think it needs to come first, but it's through that act that we evoke what we're desiring, not by negotiating it. It's like we literally put our heart on the altar and then we get met. But it's scary. You got to take that little act of courage to put yourself out there. But in my experience, like I said, that's where the deepest, most expansive, biggest energetic, most psychedelic-like experiences happen, is when I choose that vulnerability, when I choose to make that noise, when I choose to show the pain of that to another, magic happens.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. I'm also open if anyone just wants to share their experience too.
So I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
So we're talking about feminine and masculine, both for women and men, right? And I've met lots of men who say and who think that women are not attracted to them in their feminine energy. And I've also met women who say that about men. I'm not attracted to men in their feminine energy. And what would you say to those men? And what would you say to those women? I'm just curious, because I think that's also a block. Me not being a man, just seeing it might be a block as to why men are less likely to want to experience their feminine energy or show it if they're in a heterosexual relationship to a woman.
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So that's a nuanced question. So much of it isn't that women don't want to see a man being feminine. A lot of it is that with that, like, men will collapse into their feminine. So it's not a revealing. It's not saying that like, hey, I'm present and aware of and responsible for myself in this, and I'm allowing you to see this through my eyes. I'm allowing this to emote. It's a lot of men tend to collapse. They tend to fall into a deep neediness with it, rather than like still staying conscious and letting you feel their heartbreak, letting you feel your sadness, feel that neediness, feel your fear. It's about a losing structure and losing consciousness, because then what that does is it polarizes the opposite, and she usually then steps up into how, like, a lot of women go into then mothering with that, and so it loses polarity, because, to put it very bluntly, like, women don't want to fuck their kids. They don't want to do that. And so there's a way as a man that you learn how to be both. You learn how to be aware of and responsible for your emotions and fully show them, but without collapsing out of responsibility for your own experience, without fully, and that's not to say then as well that that's not allowed. Oftentimes where we fail in that too is we just rush in and we don't set a container for ourselves. So we don't come and we say, hey baby, I've had a really crazy day, or this thing happened and my heart is just suffering. Can I have 10 minutes to just fall apart? And then she's like, yes, I'm happy to hold that. And then in those 10 minutes, you show up, you wail, you scream, you cry, you do your thing. You don't intellectualize it. You move it. You fall apart. And at the end of that, you bring the polarity back. You show up, thank you, baby. That was so important. I love you so much. And you switch it back. You let her come back into softness. Let her know that, thank you for holding me, but now I got us again. I got myself again. So that to me, yeah.
I was gonna say, so would you say not collapsing into it, the way to like avoid that in a very simple way is to create a container for yourself, maybe like a time limit, or know that there are limits to this,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah. So it's the masculine's gift is to be the director of time and space. And so yeah, when you walk up to a woman and you're saying, "This is what I'd like to have happen for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Are you available to that?" You give her the choice, rather than just coming up and starting to complain or falling apart or doing whatever your habitual way of doing it is, to where then she's unprepared. You're giving her the opportunity, like, this is what's going to be here. It's only going to be for this long. We're going to set a timer and then I'm going to come back. So it's showing that you're aware of yourself, that you're not just, like I said, showing up and wanting her to be mommy or whatever other way you want to put that you've lost yourself. Because it really, yeah, it's showing that it's leadership, to show that this is what I need. And you ask for it, you make a time and space for it. And that's only though, if you're wanting to keep a polarized relationship, if you're wanting to keep that spark where she's trusting your leadership, she's trusting your depth, she's trusting your structure. Those are the things you can add to, those are practices that you can add to your relationship.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question.
Is there one last question or anyone else? No. Okay, I think we'll kind of wrap it there then. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks so much, Zac, for coming to join us for this. If we can just give him a round of applause for this. Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming all the way and bring this. This is a wonderful exercise, and I could feel just my energy states changing as well, and being able to have that experience was incredible and much needed. And I saw a few around me as well had some really impactful experiences. So maybe you didn't see that on the camera, but it was definitely happening here. So
Awesome.
Zac, I just wanted to see, is there any place anyone else can reach out to you for your social media or anything else like that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram's Dr. Zac Lyons. You can also go to my website, drzaclyons.com. Same thing on Facebook, if you want to look me up there. And then, yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any other questions, if you want more resources, anything like that. I'm happy to do that. I offer coaching on this if that's things that you're wanting to bring to your relationship. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to help couples take things that are, points of contention, big fights, and help you turn it into a practice of polarity, to where what is your deepest pain turns into, like, arguably your deepest connection. It's a really beautiful experience. So yeah, like I said, feel free to follow any of those. I would love to connect with any of you guys on that platform. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, Zac. Thank you.